What's up, fellas? Before we get into today's chest training video, I also just wanted to announce the winners of that Bells of Steel giveaway for my arch nemesis bench press bar. Also the winner of the custom reusable training program, drum roll. Funny story about the freaking winner of the arch nemesis bar. It's Alejandro Romero. Fella, you said you were gonna Larson press every day if you won. So I'm not gonna make you do that, but just make sure you tag me and you doing a Larson press with the arch bar. And then in terms of the program, the winner is No Natty Limits. I remember us talking in the comments about how you wanted to get more jacked than me. So hit me up on Instagram and we'll talk about how you can go about doing that. Now to Alejandro, just hit up Bells of Steel on Instagram with like proof of ownership of your channel. Same with No Natty Limits. Hit me up on Instagram with proof of ownership of your channel. Send me like a screenshot of your YouTube studio or whatever, and then we'll go from there. But I also want to thank everybody that entered as well. We got a great turnout. I also want to encourage people that didn't enter because they didn't think they'd win, that dude, 1 in 700, 800, 900 odds to win something is great. So don't be shy next time. Go ahead and enter and let me know in the comments things that you would like to see in the next giveaway, whether that's free equipment, free programs, program reviews, whatever the case may be. Thanks again to everybody for the support, and let's have fun with this chest training video. We're gonna get right into it. Actually, dude, we're a community, so you let me know in the comments down below, should we be making Alejandro freaking Larson press every day? My approach to chest training has changed since the last time that we talked about it. We're gonna talk about 3 exercises and their major benefits, so like why should you be doing them, and then how you actually implement these exercises. This is gonna be both in a strength base and in a hypertrophy base. So no matter what your goals are, you're gonna get something from these. The first major benefit of all 3 of these exercises is that you can place them after a ton of triceps work. Now, why is this important? If you wanna be a beef cannon Bobby like me, we understand that the tricep is the largest muscle on your arm, right? It's gonna contribute to the most size. And being able to put more energy into that while still knowing and trusting that you can get in a good pec workout, an excellent pec workout, is very important because it gives you versatility. So not only can you, if you want to have a bigger bench press, do your bench press and then maybe use these exercises as accessories to get more chest volume, you also know that if you have like an arm day, you can smash your triceps into oblivion and then still be able to get in a good pec workout. What we just talked about is actually the second major benefit. All 3 of these exercises offer a ton of direct volume straight to your pecs. So you do all the benching that you need to get better at benching, and then you're just laser targeting, missile striking the freaking pecs with these exercises. So they're really good from not only a hypertrophy perspective, but a bigger pec, all things equal, and bigger pressing muscles, all things equal, is just gonna lead to a bigger bench press. Personally got my gains book. I put on the old Glasseroonie so I could read my own handwriting because it's extremely sloppy, but it contains everything that we're gonna be talking about today. First up on the menu is fly presses. Now, this is something that you've either seen me do or have watched videos of other content creators talk about. I want to offer my own piece to the conversation. I say, let's abolish regular dumbbell bench press and replace every dumbbell bench press with fly press. You can get a full range of motion with big dumbbells. That's like the main benefit of this exercise, just logistically. Because a lot of people say that, dumbbells are only useful to a certain point. Well, if you don't do it right, well, yeah. Arnold Schwarzenegger can be seen doing these really heavy. He's the CEO of pecs. Are we gonna argue with him? All right, so do your fly presses. You can do these form-wise on a spectrum of dumbbell press to like pure fly. I like to go somewhere in the middle. So my arms are out pretty wide and they're pointed out a little bit just so I can open up the pecs a lot and get a full stretch. Personally, I like reps of anywhere between 6 to 15. 6 reps on like a top heavy set. So I'll pick up like the 110s, the 120s, and I'll do like a set of 6 or 8 or whatever. And then I'll strip down to like the hundreds, go up to like 10 to 12 reps, 95, so on and so forth. The way that I progress week to week is week 1 that I'll do something like that. Week 2, I'll just try to add reps to each of those sets. So add a rep to the 110, 120 pound set, add a rep to the 100-pound set, so on and so forth, until I just need to increase weight over and over again. That's a really cool way of double progression. Now, another way that you can go about that is that you can keep the reps week to week the same. You could just make them more brutal. So by that, I mean, you go down a little slower, you pause a little longer, so on and so forth. so that you're giving yourself options of how to progress. You don't have to just beat the log book, like beat the Gans book, right? You can also just do things better and move better, and that's also progress, which is something really cool that you can do if you're someone that struggles mentally, maybe with adding reps every time or feeling like you need to improve numerically, right? So this is a way of improving in a way that's just movement quality. The regular progression is called double progression. We'll call this Chad progression, all right? Now, this is gonna be a level of stretch that many, especially newer lifters, are not accustomed to. So I made a video a long time ago called How to Warm Up or Avoid Injuries, the final answer or whatever. Long story short, you wanna make sure you're doing a lot of light warm-up reps and not getting a pump, but feeling the blood flow before you even do like your working set. So for me, that'll look like doing like a set of 20 with the 20s, a set of 10 with the 40s, so on and so forth. And by the time I get to like the 80s or whatever, I'm just busting out sets of like 2 or 3 because I'm pretty warm and I'm pretty ready to hit the working weights. Because especially if you're working up to something like 100, 110, 120 pounds with a fucking fly, dude, you want to make sure that you're warmed up so you don't snap something, okay? There's 3 different ways you can program them. You can add them as an exercise after a bunch of triceps work. So typically, I'll put these on a day where I'm smashing triceps with my press downs and my skull crushers, and then I'll do these, and then we'll be Gucci. You could also put them after like a barbell bench, so close grip bench, regular bench, so on and so forth, just to get extra pec volume. Another advanced way to program these, and I say advanced because you're doing a circuit, right? I love circuits. I love circuit training because it cuts down on time in the gym, and it also gets you more fit, physically fit, builds work capacity. I'll do something like a fly press, and then right after that, I'll do something like a pull. So like a really slow Johnny bodybuilder, mind muscle connection pull up, dumbbell rows, barbell rows, something like that. And I'll do them back to back because the amount of time that you're spending doing the row is time that your chest is resting. And I found that over time, especially again, if you're advanced, this is more for people that have a good base of work capacity, that your need for rest can diminish if you train yourself to do that. So really cool way of putting that in there. I really like those 3 ways. Go ahead and try that out. Let me know what you think. Now, next up, deficit weighted push-ups. Now, fellas, listen, the weighted dip enjoyers are like, dips are way better. I love dips, but mostly for other people. For me, I've always connected better with weighted push-ups. Now, we're adding in this deficit so that it is essentially like a calisthenics version of the fly press. Does that make sense? While still being a little different. So on a weighted push-up, you get more ability to move your shoulders, so like your scapula, back and forth with a little bit more freedom than you can on a press. Not to say that you can't on a press. I've made entire videos just shitting on people for saying that you can't do that, right? You can move your scaps even on a heavy bench press. I've done it. You can do that. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear otherwise, right? But it is more intuitive to do so on a push-up. I will agree there. Now, I really love these because not only are they a similar movement pattern to the fly press, but they're also a little easier to recover from while still giving you a great hypertrophy stimulus. Now, I am of the opinion, and this is not based in anything other than my experience and just my personal bias, so take this part with a grain of salt. But I think anything where you're moving your body through space, when you compare it to like an equivalent machine or barbell variation, I think the calisthenics, the weighted calisthenics version is going to build more muscle, all things equal. You can feel free to disagree with that if your own personal experience infers something different, but that's just been my personal experience. Now, form-wise, I want you to think of them again as a bodyweight fly press. So all of the same cues apply somewhere between like a regular push-up and a fly. That's how I want you to think of your deficit weighted push-ups. The only difference is that I do like slightly higher reps on average. So the lower reps, will start at like 8, and then the higher reps will go up to 20. Another cool way that I like to program these, so specific programming, is again with low rest intervals and in circuits. I find that just calisthenics variations in general, even if you push them to like real failure, like true failure, they don't need as much rest to be ready to go when compared to their barbell or machine counterpart. I'm talking like, at the end of a workout, I can think that I do 5 sets of deficit weighted push-ups from a decline actually, with 60 seconds rest intervals, just getting in the reps, getting in the gigapump, and it feels incredible. Each set I'm able to perform to a level that is good enough to get hypertrophy, and it knocks out 5 sets like nothing. All right. So that's programming tidbits specifically to like the weighted push-ups, and that's even better if you do them on rings. Now, all of the other programming tidbits that apply to the fly press also apply to the deficit weighted push-up. So you can put it after a lot of triceps work on an arm day and still get in a good chest workout. And you can also still use them in like a superset with a pull, or after a chest exercise like the bench press. Last but not least, this is my favorite bench press assistance exercise that isn't a Larson press. In fact, yes, you can Larson press on this variation. Now, by now, you've either won an arch nemesis bar like our boy Alejandro, or you have bought one. A lot of people have one. It's a great bar. There's a way that I like to use it that is really great that can apply to any, neutral grip bar that you may have in your gym. So if you don't have an arch nemesis bar, but you have a neutral grip bar, listen up, because this is still gonna apply to you. This is also me selling you on one if you haven't bought one, okay? So this variation is a little different because it's like, I call it the barbell fly press, because you take the widest grip and then you turn the bar in towards your chin. And what you'll find is that bottom position feels exactly like the bottom of a fly press. The only difference is that one, it's a lot more stable, and two, because it's a lot more stable, you can use a little bit more weight. So it's like an overload in that stretch position. You don't quite get the squeeze that you do on dumbbells or on the ring version of the weighted push-ups, but the stretch is overloaded because you're using more weight. It's more stable, so you're able to put more force into it. Does that make sense? So it's a really good variation that I use, again, after like a lot of triceps work, or I've also experimented with putting it first. It's also worked really well as like the opening exercise on a pressing day. Now, it's really important that you turn that bar in, because the thing with neutral grip bars is that they're a lot wider than a barbell is, obviously. So if you're arching like you should arch at least a little bit on bench presses to open up the pecs a little bit more and get, facilitate that deep stretch. You may touch the bar to like a high point on your body. So like if you could think of an arch, maybe I'll have a graphic up on the screen. You're gonna get more of a stretch if you touch lower on that arch. So if it's a lower point, does that make sense? And you're turning that bar in so that it does do that, right? Now, in terms of like just generic form that I really like with all bench presses for hypertrophy or for strength development, when you're doing your higher reps, you use a softer touch and a controlled eccentric. You don't gotta do like a 5-second Jimmy Bookworm douchebag, eccentric, but, control and feel the eccentric, because it's literally half of the movement. And then we're doing the soft touch to just try to keep constant tension on the pecs. I'll tell you what, dude, I can hit on the cambered bar bench press, not doing this, 295 for like 3 sets of 8 to 10. I have no idea what I can do on barbell bench press right now, like a regular ass barbell. But with the deficit, dude, I'm hitting some pretty good numbers on it. With this, I'm using like 260 pounds for the same number of reps. So it's gonna chop off a little bit of weight from what you would expect yourself to be able to do, especially if you're going from barbell bench press, which is easier than hitting bench on this bar, to this variation. But I promise you, it makes up for it on the pump pec, the pec pump that you get on this exercise, bro. I promise you. Now, I like reps as low as 6, as high as like 10 on this, because here's the thing, fellas. Because of the pressing technique that we're using, your pecs aren't getting a whole lot of rest. So I find that on really high rep sets, you don't so much burn out because of like a strength type of thing. Like sometimes like you just literally can't lift the weight anymore. It more so feels like, because we're spending so much time in that stretch position, you just give out after a certain number of reps if you're training hard. So I've found that 10 is like the most that I can do. Maybe you can experiment, start with 6 to 10, and maybe if you like reps a little higher, you can try that, but start there. Now, I also superset this particular exercise with really slow pull-ups, mostly to keep the upper back pumped and the lats pumped, because all things equal, like a stronger, more stable upper back and lats, the more stable a bench press is gonna feel, which is just gonna make, all of those exercises and the pressing pattern feel better in general. You can disagree with that, but again, like I've benched a lot of weight, my back is big as fuck, and I feel personally that has contributed to stability on my bench press. or pressing variations in general. Now, I don't think that you should superset necessarily a bench press with a weighted pull-up, because I feel that the weighted pull-up is just going to take too much energy away from you to be able to perform well on the bench press. But like a body weight pull-up, if you're able to do weighted pull-ups with like 100 pounds for reps, 3 plates for reps, 4 plates like I can, is, you know, it's nothing. Like I feel it, like it's giving me a pump, but it's not neurologically taking a lot from me. Does that make sense? Like I said, I put these first as an opening chest press exercise, got great results from it. Also got equally good results doing my press downs and my skull crushers first. Just because, like I said, it's a pec dominant movement. You're failing it because your pecs gave out. And I really love it for that reason. All right, fellas, that's all she wrote. This was a lot of fun just to, you know, share my new findings with pec training, because the pecs have been coming up. Like, dude, someone is always gonna tell you when you get jacked, bro, you put on the most amount of muscle you're ever gonna put on in your life, and this is diminishing returns. Every year I force myself to be more jacked than I was the year before that, dude. And I look like a Super Saiyan version of even like when I made that upper pec training video last year. I look at that and I'm like, dude, I'm noticeably bigger than I was then. So you can make steady improvements. It's just with, what's the quote from Dragon Ball that Master Roshi said? He's like, eat well, study well, play well, train well, sleep well. This is the turtle hermit way. Dude, study well, right? We're just seeking to enhance our knowledge base and do things better so that we can get better results. Sleep well, eat well, train well. It speaks for itself. Fellas, if you have any questions about what we talked about today, please let me know. If you have any questions about variations of these exercises, maybe ask me those and I'll put them in a pinned comment. Y'all have a great day. Watch these videos now that you've watched this one.